What's up, guys? So after about 2 weeks of having this 501st Battle Pack, I decided to finally rip it open and give it a whack. Now, a friend suggested to me that I try and make a drop ship, and I'm still going to try that, but my first idea I had immediately after building the ship was to make it flying, of course. Just like with the Black Widow chopper, turning that into a spaceship, although it was already flying, I just made it go out of the atmosphere and everything. I wanted to make this into a flying vehicle. So in my head, this obviously can't go to space. There's no canopy, this man is out in the open, and the only thing giving him oxygen would be his helmet, and that probably wouldn't last too long. So in my head, this is kind of a military police vehicle. It is small, it only has two cannons. These most likely would not be able to damage starfighters too much, maybe do a little bit here or there, but it is for getting somewhere quickly and laying down the equivalent of probably blaster fire. So this isn't quite a whole review, but I will show you it. It is, like I said, a military police vehicle, and although the strange shape, it can stand up on its own. I used that ball joint piece, got rid of that ugly stud shooter, and I use this as like a third leg kind of here on the back. So it is resting on this entire bottom here, and then as well as these little clipped areas and that little third leg I mentioned. So when you put it down on the ground and you actually push down on the sides, it won't fall over and play because it's now stabilized on that side. So you can press on what would originally be weaker areas that wouldn't quite be able to hold up. You can now press down on those and it won't fall over. And then on the back, it is still unbalanced, like a lot of the weight is still in a very strange spot in the back. So pushing down back here isn't advised at all. But you can very obviously see that I kept the main top portion of the ATRT together here. And I wanted to use that as the main area for my pilot, so I pretty much kept that all together. I did some small changes to the bricks that are used in there to make it all one color and not look hideous. And then I attached his weapon and binoculars still nearby so he could use them. And we kept the antennas going because how else is he going to get communication going out there? And I did try and work in as much little greebling as I could, use the tooth and the studs there. I couldn't quite get much in there other than like grill pieces, and I put these bars upside down, but these actually do represent repulsors. That is how the vehicle is flying. This is a very light amount of propulsion that helps keep it up, but these are repulsor jets that keep it in the air. So it is pretty much a speeder, but it can go high in atmosphere. So you'll notice I did move these dish pieces. I just flopped around these longer cheese wedge pieces with this dish, and I liked having the dish there, but it made it still look like it was a walker that was folded up. And I wanted to make it clear on this ship that these are not bending points. These are just arms that hold these intakes and repulsors up here on the cannons. These are not legs anymore. So I moved the dish over to the left so it looks like armor plating so that this area no longer represents a joint. Of course, I kept his control panel up there with his handlebars. Nothing's changed up there. Did just add the blue stud brick there. I did plan on adding an extra red stud and a gray stud to represent some dashboard, but ultimately it didn't look good. And then on the bottom, mentioning the landing gear, it does actually fold up nicely to keep it in a rounded shape on the bottom, so it's kind of in a U shape, and then going up the back, it is all pretty smooth. And then when you do need to land it, you can just deploy them out. But it makes it look like the landing gear is deploying out of somewhere rather than just sitting there waiting to be used. Alrighty guys, so that's pretty much the overview on this little military police ship. I don't actually know if I will be able to create that bark speeder idea I had, so this could be the entire extent of the video. I'm hoping it's not because I'm a little tired at the moment. I'm not quite all the way at beat. But I hope you did enjoy this little police dropship. Immediately after I built it, I wasn't completely satisfied, but after playing with it for a while, I love it. I'm gonna be playing with it tonight, and then I'm gonna make the bark speeder tomorrow probably. But I wanted to make sure I made this video because with the AAT I did, I believe I made 2 alternate builds of that. But because I can't film the building process, or I actually can if you guys wanted to see that. But because I wasn't, we didn't get any footage of the first build I had. So then the only footage you're gonna get is of the final build I had. And fun fact, I still haven't released that AAT video, and it was the second one I ever recorded for this channel. Same thing with the TIE Fighter. So expect those sometime soon, but hopefully let's now skip on to the bark speeder segment of this video. Quick intermission here, guys. So unfortunately, to my friend especially, who encouraged me to get a 501st Battle Pack and suggested I make a dropship, I'm sorry, I just wasn't quite able to do it. I gave it a shot. With the pieces I had, I just couldn't get a nice enough platform for what I was thinking in my head. And then second thing, unfortunately I wasn't able to make that bark speeder idea I kind of mentioned earlier. I was going to go for a heavy bark speeder, but ultimately I ended up finding this swamp speeder tutorial and it looked too good to pass up, so that's what we're moving on to now. What's up, guys? So right from the get-go, before I say anything else, some of you guys might recognize this swamp speeder from other alternate builds, and I did follow the alternate build from, I believe it's called C-Coin. I believe he was the first one to make the instructions for this, and everybody else has since made a video on it. And I really wanted to make one because the swamp speeder is just such a perfect looking speeder. But I wanted to put my own twist on it because I loved his build. It was great. But of course, everybody wants to make something a little bit of their own. So that's kind of what I went with. And I'm now calling this one the Heavy Swamp Speeder. And then with some leftover pieces, I made some dinky asymmetrical one-seater speeder. This we'll go over at the end. The main thing we want to go over today is the swamp speeder. So yes, I did modify this a little bit. Not too much, but enough to not call it my own creation because pretty much the entire basis is made on C-Coins, but definitely has my own spin on it, that's for sure. So because this is a mod I've done to somebody else's alternate build, I can't guarantee that all of the viewers, you guys, will know what I'm talking about when I say I've changed this part from the original. So I'm just going to hope for the best that a lot of you guys have seen it. But of course, his video is linked in the description as credit to the original build, and in case you guys want to watch that video to gain a little bit of context. So immediately, starting up at the front, I use one of the extra sloped grill bits to just smooth that out. And then on the bottom, we'll go over this real quick so we don't have to revisit it. I did change the way that the skis are put on here, so they are all on the same level. Originally, they weren't all quite level, but I've now put them all on the exact same stud level, so they're all hitting the ground. Other than that, I did slope up the front just so it kind of rounds up to here and it doesn't just awkwardly cut and you don't just see the top of those studs there. So these blasters did come by default on the alternate build. That wasn't something I did, but these this little bit here, including the droid arms, the entire clip bit here, I made on my own. It was just some extra detail, and I guess this red represents some front-facing headlights of sorts. I definitely don't want them to be blasters. When I'm playing with it, I don't think of them as blasters. They're just extra little lights. And then I used the droid arms just to add a little extra detail going up the middle shaft, I guess we could call it. And originally, there were just 2 grill pieces going down this, and I went through a few renditions of how I wanted to beef it up, but ultimately, I just ended on using the 2 tooth bricks, I believe it is, and then 1 grill bit, just to cover up the hinges a little bit, make it look like I was armoring up the weak points of the craft as if it was an actual vehicle in universe. And then going up to the top, this is pretty much the main reason it's called the Heavy Swamp Speeder. Apart from the extra armor plating down there we'll go over, this is just a main third cannon. Now, this isn't a turbo laser, of course. That would be way too big to put on a swamp speeder, but it can very lightly damage starfighters. Of course, this is a speeder. It is not combating starfighters. It is going against infantry primarily. So, of course, this can do a little bit of damage to AATs and barely anything to starfighters, but if it needs to, it will shoot them. And then going down the back, just smooth this all out so it looks real clean going down into the hinge. And I would love to protect this hinge here too, but it kind of adds into the rounded effect by kind of being indented in down there, so it actually helps right there. And now we'll go over this little middle section. So I did change around the plates and the way that this is all built in the center, so it more smooths back and it looks like this central area is armored up, because if you're thinking in the cockpit, all the wiring and internals of this vehicle are going to be going directly through that center right there. So similar to like a dashboard in a car or a center console, it's beefed up and it's got protection around it to ensure that if some droid gets a few lucky shots in there, it's not going to do crap to the internals. So then moving back into the command area, we'll take our minifigures out so you can see that a little bit better. Standard on the alternate build, it did have the control sticks and this control panel here, and it did have these 2, I don't know what these are called, but you can attach clips to them. It had these 2 gray bricks or gray pieces sitting in here, and I decided to add more of those black levers on here to kind of simulate some sort of throttle or targeting, like targeting joystick, I don't know. Something, but, you know, extra detail, just greebling to help fill up this interior to make it seem like an actual command center. And then on both sides, of course, they can protect themselves with the cannons attached to the ship, but if somebody's getting in close or for some reason these are malfunctioning, both pilots, co-pilots, whatever they are, they do have a blaster each, so they can defend themselves if the main weapons go down. And then in my head, these 2 little nubs, I don't know what these pieces are called either. These are just probably some kind of sensors, just something to help gain information to send to the control panels. And then I did change up how these 2 pointed plates are in here. This sloped one, I put this here to help better support these, and so again, it looks like a dashboard area. And then this blue one back here as just a little bit of extra armor plating to help protect the internals of the engines back here. Oh, and I missed one thing going down the middle. The 2 black stud shooters that came on the bark speeder, I wanted to use those, and I determined that they look great as like some piping or just some detail. Like, doesn't that help fill out that shape a whole lot better in that middle area right there? I was thinking, and I bet a lot of you are probably thinking too, that you could probably fit a plate right there, and it is just barely not tall enough to fit a plate without it becoming an illegal technique and kind of bending bricks a little bit. Going down to the back, these seats, I believe I haven't modified at all. This is exactly what C-Coin did to the seats. And then I believe the engine unit for the most part, except for the extra blue dish and whatever this fire extinguisher piece is on the back. This, to me, in my head, kind of represents some exhaust, but this as a whole is still the main engine. And then going down the back and the sides, I didn't change anything here. Almost dropped it right there, but I didn't change anything here. C-Coin did a great job smoothing this out and giving it a real nice defined shape going down. And overall, I couldn't improve on that. I wanted to make this connection a little sturdier because when I was first picking it up, I was picking it up by these. And once you build it, and if you do build his alternate build, you'll find very quickly that these aren't the places meant to be handled. So that was user error for a while, but I did want to make it just a little bit more secure, but I ultimately couldn't quite figure out a way. Oh, and to point out, I was still only using pieces from the 501st battle pack. This is with no extra pieces. But yeah, like I said, other than that, we just added up, whatever. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know the names of pieces other than bricks, pieces, and plates. That's pretty much my vocab. I added one of each, the gray one and then the blue one on each side to kind of provide some armrest and a little bit of protection to our pilots. Other than that, overall, I was really happy with it originally, like I said, but I, of course, wanted to put my own spin on it, so we have now created the heavy swamp speeder. So then going over our little asymmetrical speeder made with extra bricks, that's pretty much the best description I could give it. It's made with extra bricks, but I will say when I'm playing with them both, I really have some fun with this. A whole lot more fun than I thought I would have with this, that's for sure. Now, I can't do my normal review going from front to back because there's not a whole lot to go over, but I did want to use up some of the extra pieces to try and make something because I believe on the original alternate build, somebody else made C-Coin's swamp speeder, but then with extra pieces after making his swamp speeder, they made a nice bark speeder. And I kind of wanted to do that, but after modifying the swamp speeder to make the heavy swamp speeder, I didn't have the pieces I needed to make a proper bark. But on this, I did fashion him a seat of sorts, so at least that's filled out there. It's smooth around the back, and it does have an engine with a red stud in there to help simulate some plume or some kind of propulsion in there. Overall, this was made with scrap pieces, but I still have a lot of fun with it, and I think that's the point. It doesn't look that good. It doesn't look like it would be an effective vehicle, but I'm having fun playing with it. And before this video ends, my friend, who actually was the one who encouraged me to end up getting a 501st Battle Pack, I wasn't ever going to buy one, but he gave me an idea to try and make a dropship, and I'm sorry, but I just wasn't able to do that, my friend. These were what I came up with. Of course, like I said previously, and I just don't want to take credit. I don't want people thinking that. I didn't come up with this. I just came up with the extra mods I put onto this. So like you guys saw earlier, that police patrol ship, I believe I was calling it. I don't quite know, military police one. I hope you guys enjoyed that alternate build that I did make, and then some modifications to C-Coins that he made. Peace, fellas.